In a quiet neighborhood, the sun shone brightly, and children played joyfully outside. Among them was a little girl named Mia. She was 6 years old with bright eyes and a big smile. Maya loved to explore and play, but today was different. Today, she felt a strange tension in the air. Mia had just finished her lunch when she decided to go outside. She loved playing in the small park near her house, where the grass was green and the trees swayed gently in the breeze. As she ran out of her house, she felt happy. She waved at her neighbors and shouted, "Hello," to her friends who were riding bikes. After a while, Mia noticed a man standing near a parked car. He was tall, with a black hoodie pulled over his head. The man kept looking around, glancing left and right as if he was waiting for someone. Maya felt a shiver run down her spine. Something about the man made her uneasy. She watched him closely, trying to understand what he was doing. The man kept fidgeting, and Maya felt her heart race. Why is he just standing there? She thought. She had been taught to be careful and to avoid strangers. Suddenly, the man looked directly at her, and Mia's heart dropped. She quickly turned and started walking away, trying to put distance between them. As she walked, Mia could hear her own heartbeat thumping loudly in her ears. She felt scared but didn't want to show it. "I need to find someone," she thought. She looked around for her mother or one of her friends, but they were nowhere to be seen. The park was starting to feel too quiet, and Maya felt more alone than ever. The man took a step toward her, and that was it. Mia broke into a run. She dashed toward the nearby park, her little legs moving as fast as they could. She spotted an elderly woman sitting on a bench, reading a book. The woman had silver hair tied back in a bun, and she wore a warm smile that made Mia feel safe. Mia ran up to the woman, out of breath and trembling. "Please help me," she gasped, clutching the woman's arm. "There's a man. He's trying to get me." The elderly woman, Mrs. Johnson, looked surprised but quickly became concerned. "What happened, dear?" she asked gently. "You're safe here." Mia glanced back over her shoulder, her eyes wide with fear. He was standing by that car. He was looking at me, and it scared me. Mrs. Johnson's expression changed from surprise to worry. She turned to look in the direction Mia had come from. There was no sign of the man now, but Mrs. Johnson knew that Mia's fear was real. "Let's stay here for a moment," she said, wrapping her arm around Mia's shoulders. "You did the right thing by coming to me." Mia felt a bit calmer, but she couldn't shake off the fear. She could still picture the man's face in her mind. "What if he comes back?" she whispered, her voice shaking. Mrs. Johnson smiled softly. "I won't let anything happen to you, I promise." She squeezed Mia's shoulder gently, trying to comfort her. "Why don't you tell me what he looked like?" Mia took a deep breath. He was tall and had a hoodie. He looked strange, like he was hiding something. Her voice trembled as she spoke. "I didn't like the way he was staring." Mrs. Johnson nodded, understanding the little girl's fear. "Sometimes people can act in ways that make us feel uncomfortable. You did the right thing by coming to me." She looked around the park, still on alert. "Let's wait here until your parents or someone else comes to help." Just then, Mrs. Johnson noticed a movement out of the corner of her eye. The man was now walking toward them, looking more determined than before. A knot formed in Mrs. Johnson's stomach. She realized they might be in danger. "Mia, I need you to stay close to me," she said firmly, her voice low. The man was now close enough for Mia to see his face clearly. He looked different from how she imagined. Instead of looking friendly, he had a serious expression. "What are you two doing?" he asked, trying to sound casual, but his voice was low and tense. Mrs. Johnson stood protectively in front of Mia, her heart racing. "We're just enjoying the park," she replied, keeping her tone steady. "Why don't you go back to whatever you were doing?" The man narrowed his eyes but didn't move closer. "I'm just looking for someone," he said. Mia could see that he wasn't telling the truth. She felt her stomach twist with fear. Mrs. Johnson felt Mia trembling behind her. She knew she had to do something. "Mia, can you hold my hand?" she asked gently, and Mia nodded, grabbing Mrs. Johnson's hand tightly. As the tension in the air grew thicker, Mrs. Johnson's mind raced. She needed to protect Mia, but she also knew that calling for help was important. The park felt larger and more frightening with the man nearby. The sun seemed to hide behind the clouds, and the happy sounds of children playing faded away. Just as Mrs. Johnson was about to reach for her phone, she heard sirens in the distance. Relief washed over her, but she couldn't let her guard down yet. The man looked startled, his eyes darting around. "I have to go," he muttered, stepping back. Mia clutched Mrs. Johnson's hand tighter. "Are they coming for me?" she whispered, her eyes wide with worry. "Yes, sweetheart," Mrs. Johnson said, trying to sound brave. "They will be here soon. Just stay close to me." The man turned to run, and as he did, Mrs. Johnson quickly pulled out her phone, ready to call for help if needed. She watched the man disappear into the distance, her heart racing. At that moment, all she could think about was keeping Mia safe. She felt a sense of responsibility to protect this little girl who had come to her in fear. As the sirens grew louder, she knew help was on the way. A call for help. Mia watched as the man ran away, her heart still pounding in her chest. She could feel the warmth of Mrs. Johnson's hand gripping hers, a comforting presence in the midst of her fear. The sound of sirens grew louder, echoing through the park like a promise of safety. "Mia, everything is going to be okay," Mrs. Johnson said, her voice soothing but firm. "The police will be here soon. You did the right thing by coming to me." Mia nodded, though her mind was racing. She replayed the encounter in her head, trying to make sense of it all. "Why was he looking at me?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Sometimes people have their own problems," Mrs. Johnson explained gently. "It's important to be aware of our surroundings and trust our instincts. If something feels wrong, it usually is." Just then, 2 police officers arrived, their uniforms bright against the backdrop of the park. They quickly scanned the area before their eyes landed on Mia and Mrs. Johnson. "Is everything okay here?" one of the officers asked, kneeling down to Mia's level. Mia felt a rush of relief at the sight of the officers. "That man over there," she said, pointing in the direction where the man had disappeared. "He was looking at me, and I got scared. I thought he was going to hurt me." The officer nodded, his expression serious. "Thank you for telling us. Can you describe him to us?" Mia took a deep breath, trying to recall every detail. He was tall and had a black hoodie. His pants were dark, and he looked like he was waiting for something. The second officer pulled out a notebook, ready to write down Mia's description. "Thank you for being brave and telling us what happened. We'll make sure to check the area." Mrs. Johnson squeezed Mia's hand, proud of her bravery. "You did very well, Mia. It's important to speak up," she said, her eyes sparkling with encouragement. As the officers began to walk away, Mia's mother arrived, breathless and worried. "Mia," she exclaimed, rushing toward her daughter. "I was looking everywhere for you." Mia ran into her mother's arms, feeling safe again. "Mom, I was so scared. There was a man, and he..." Mrs. Johnson stepped forward, her voice calm but serious. "Ma'am, your daughter did a great job. She came to me when she felt scared, and we called the police. She saw a man who seemed suspicious." Mia's mother looked relieved and grateful. "Thank you for looking after her," she said, her eyes filled with appreciation. "I can't believe how brave you were, Mia." Mia nodded, her heart still racing. "I was scared, but I told Mrs. Johnson. She made me feel better." The police officers returned, having checked the area. "We didn't see the man, but we'll keep an eye out," one officer said. "If you see him again, don't hesitate to call us." Mia's mother hugged her tightly, feeling a mix of relief and concern. "You did the right thing by coming to someone for help," she said softly, wiping a tear from Mia's cheek. As the officers left, Mrs. Johnson smiled warmly at Mia and her mother. It's important to stay safe and look out for each other. You did wonderfully, Mia. I'm proud of you. Mia smiled back, feeling a sense of accomplishment. Thank you for helping me, she said shyly. With the tension easing, Mia's mother decided it was time to go home. Let's get some ice cream, okay? You deserve a treat after everything that happened. Mia's eyes lit up. Yes, I love ice cream. As they walked away from the park, Mrs. Johnson waved goodbye, her heart full. She had seen many things in her life, but today had reminded her of the importance of community and looking out for one another. Maya looked back at Mrs. Johnson and waved enthusiastically. Bye, Mrs. Johnson. Thank you again. The elderly woman smiled and waved back, feeling grateful that she could help. As she settled back on her bench, she reflected on the day's events. It was a reminder of the strength that lay in connection and the importance of being aware of the world around them. Later that evening, Mia and her mother sat together at the dinner table. Mom, can we talk about what happened today? Maya asked, her voice still a bit shaky. Of course, sweetheart. It's important to talk about these things, her mother replied, taking a sip of her water. Mia took a deep breath, feeling brave again. I know I did the right thing by running to Mrs. Johnson, but I wish I didn't have to be scared in the first place. Her mother nodded, her heart aching for her daughter. I understand, Mia. The world can sometimes be a scary place, but remember that you're never alone. You have me, your friends, and kind people like Mrs. Johnson who are always here to help. Mia smiled, feeling reassured. I want to be brave like you, Mom, she said with determination. You already are, my love. Bravery isn't just about not being scared. It's about knowing when to ask for help and looking out for others. You showed that today, her mother replied, wrapping her arms around Mia. As they finished their dinner, Mia felt a sense of peace wash over her. She had faced a frightening encounter, but with the help of Mrs. Johnson and her mother, she had learned an important lesson about courage, trust, and community. The sun was setting outside, casting a warm glow through the window, and Mia knew that tomorrow would be a new day filled with hope and happiness, a lesson in courage. The next day, Mia woke up with a sense of determination. She couldn't stop thinking about her encounter in the park. She wanted to turn her fear into something positive. As she got ready for school, she made a decision. She would tell her classmates about what happened and encourage them to speak up if they ever felt scared or unsafe. At breakfast, Mia shared her plan with her mother. I want to talk to my friends about what happened yesterday, she said, her eyes shining with purpose. Her mother smiled, proud of Mia's bravery. That's a great idea, Mia. It's important to share your experiences. You never know who might need to hear it. After breakfast, Mia headed to school, her heart racing with excitement and a little nervousness. She gathered her friends during lunch and said, I want to tell you all something important. Yesterday, I felt really scared in the park. A man was looking at me, and I didn't know what to do. Her friends listened closely, their faces serious. Mia continued, but I remembered that it's okay to ask for help. I found Mrs. Johnson, and she helped me call the police. They came quickly, and I felt safe again. One of her friends, Lily, spoke up. I felt scared before too, but I didn't know what to do. I just ran home. Mia nodded, encouraging her friend. It's really important to talk to someone if you feel scared. We should always look out for each other. Another friend, Jake, added, maybe we can come up with a secret signal or a way to help each other if something happens. Mia's heart swelled with pride as she listened to her friends share their thoughts. That's a great idea, Jake. We can make sure we're always looking out for each other, no matter where we are. As the lunch period ended, Maya felt a sense of accomplishment. She had not only shared her experience, but also empowered her friends to think about their safety. The conversation made her feel stronger, like she was part of a team that would support one another. That afternoon, during recess, Mia and her friends decided to create a safety club. They talked about ideas to keep each other safe and how to recognize when someone might be in danger. They also came up with a plan to create posters to hang around school, reminding everyone to speak up if they felt uncomfortable or scared. The next day, they gathered in the art room to make the posters. Mia, Lily, and Jake worked together, cutting out colorful letters and drawing pictures. They wrote messages like, "If you feel scared, find a friend, and it's okay to ask for help." As they finished their posters, Mrs. Johnson stopped by to see what they were doing. "Wow, this is fantastic, kids. I'm so proud of you for taking action," she said, her eyes shining with pride. Mia felt a rush of happiness. "Thank you, Mrs. Johnson. We want to help others feel safe, just like you helped me." Mrs. Johnson smiled warmly. "You are all doing a wonderful thing. Remember, small actions can make a big difference." When the posters were hung around school, Maya felt a sense of pride. She knew they could help someone who might be feeling scared, just like she had the day before. As days passed, Mia continued to talk to her friends about safety and staying aware of their surroundings. They made a pact to look out for one another and always check in if they noticed something unusual. One sunny afternoon, while playing at the park, Maya spotted a new girl sitting alone on a bench. The girl looked shy and sad, so Mia decided to approach her. "Hi, I'm Mia. Would you like to join us?" The girl looked surprised but smiled. "Really? I would love to." Mia introduced the girl to her friends, and soon they were all laughing and playing together. Mia could see that the girl was beginning to feel more comfortable. "Do you like to play tag?" Maya asked. "Yes, I love tag," the girl replied, her face lighting up. As they played, Mia felt proud of her decision to reach out. She remembered how scared she had felt just days before, and now she was helping someone else feel included and happy. After a while, the group took a break, sitting on the grass to catch their breath. "What's your name?" Maya asked the new girl. "Ella," she said shyly. "I just moved here, and I was feeling really lonely." Mia smiled warmly. "I'm so glad you're here. If you ever feel scared or need help, you can come to me or any of my friends. We're always here for each other." Ella's eyes sparkled with gratitude. "Thank you, Mia. That makes me feel a lot better." As the sun began to set, Maya felt a sense of happiness wash over her. She had turned her frightening experience into something positive, not just for herself but for others too. That evening, when she told her mother about Ella, her mother hugged her tightly. "You're such a kind-hearted girl, Mia. You've turned your fear into strength, and that's something to be proud of." Mia beamed with joy, realizing that by being brave, she could also help others find their courage. The world was still a big place, but with friends by her side, she felt ready to face whatever came next. The unexpected challenge. Days passed, and Mia continued to embrace her role as a leader in her safety club. She felt empowered and confident, knowing that she was making a difference. However, not everything was smooth sailing. One afternoon, while walking home from school with her friends, Mia noticed a group of older kids hanging out near the playground. They were loud and rowdy, and Maya felt a familiar twinge of fear. She remembered this scary moment in the park, and how she had to summon the courage to speak up. "Guys, let's take the other way," Maya suggested, her voice a little shaky. Her friends agreed, but as they turned to leave, one of the older kids called out, "Hey, where are you going? Come over here." Mia's heart raced. She glanced at her friends, who were all looking uncertain. She could see fear in their eyes too. "Maybe we should just keep walking," Lily whispered, gripping Mia's arm tightly. But Mia felt a sense of responsibility. "No, we can't run away. We have to stand together." She turned to face the group. "We're just heading home. We don't want any trouble." The older kids laughed, and one of them stepped closer. "What's the matter? You scared of us?" Mia felt her heart pounding. She took a deep breath and reminded herself of what Mrs. Johnson had taught her about courage. "No, we're not scared. We just want to be safe." The tension in the air thickened, and Mia's friends looked at her with wide eyes. She could feel their fear, but she also sensed their support. Suddenly, a voice called out from behind them, "Hey, leave those kids alone." Mia turned to see Mrs. Johnson approaching, her expression firm but kind. The older kids hesitated, glancing at each other before stepping back. "We were just having some fun," one of them said, trying to sound casual. Mrs. Johnson narrowed her eyes. "You know that it's not fun to scare younger kids. If you want to play, do it without bothering others. Remember, kindness is the real strength." With a nod from Mrs. Johnson, the older kids reluctantly walked away, muttering under their breath. Mia and her friends let out a collective sigh of relief. "Thank you, Mrs. Johnson," Mia exclaimed, her heart racing from the mix of fear and adrenaline. Mrs. Johnson smiled down at them. "You did great, Mia. It's important to stand up for yourself and your friends. You showed real courage today." As they continued their walk home, Mia felt a mix of emotions. She was proud of how she had stood up for herself, but she also felt the weight of responsibility. What if they hadn't had Mrs. Johnson there? When Mia arrived home, she couldn't shake the experience from her mind. She shared the story with her mother, who listened intently. "I'm so proud of you, Mia," her mother said. "It's not easy to face your fears, but you did it. Just remember, you can always ask for help when you need it." That night, Mia lay in bed, thinking about everything that had happened. She realized that fear was a part of life, but it didn't have to control her. She could choose to be brave, even in tough situations. The next day at school, Mia decided to talk about her recent experience during their safety club meeting. She gathered her friends and shared the story of how they stood up to the older kids. "I know it was scary, but we can't let fear stop us from doing what's right," she said. Lily nodded. "We should all be brave like you, Mia. But what do we do if we're alone and face a situation like that?" Mia thought for a moment. "I think we should always have a plan. We can practice different scenarios together. If we ever feel unsafe, we can either walk away or find a trusted adult to help." Her friends agreed, and they spent the rest of their meeting discussing various situations and role-playing how to respond. They practiced standing up for themselves and calling for help, all while encouraging one another. The following week, the safety club decided to put on a presentation for their classmates. They wanted to share their experiences and teach others about safety and bravery. They prepared posters, made signs, and even created a little skit to demonstrate how to handle different situations. When the day of the presentation arrived, Maya felt a mix of excitement and nerves. As she stood in front of her class, she took a deep breath and started speaking. "Hi everyone. We're here to talk about being safe and standing up for ourselves. It's okay to feel scared, but it's important to know what to do in tough situations." As she spoke, Maya saw her classmates nodding and listening closely. She shared her story about the older kids and how Mrs. Johnson helped them. "We all have the power to help each other, and we can always ask for help if we need it," she concluded. After the presentation, several kids came up to Mia and her friends. "That was really good. I didn't know what to do if I felt scared," one boy admitted. Mia smiled, feeling a sense of accomplishment. "We're all in this together. If you ever feel scared, remember you can come to us." That day, Maya realized that she had grown stronger and more confident. She understood that facing fears could lead to helping others, and that was a lesson she would carry with her forever. The unexpected challenge had turned into a moment of growth, not just for her, but for all her friends. As she walked home, she felt proud of what they had accomplished together. Mia knew that no matter what happened, she had the strength and courage to stand up for herself and others. And that made all the difference. The community's response. After the safety club's successful presentation, Mia felt a newfound sense of pride and purpose. Her classmates had responded positively, and many approached her and her friends to ask questions about safety. It made Maya realize that they were not just learning to protect themselves, they were also inspiring others to be brave. The following week, something unexpected happened. Mia's mother received a phone call from the school principal, Mrs. Williams. "Mia, your principal wants to talk to us about something important," her mother said, her tone filled with curiosity. Mia's heart raced. What could it be? Had something gone wrong? When they arrived at the school, Mia saw Mrs. Williams waiting in her office. "Thank you for coming, Mia and Mrs. Torres," she said, her face lighting up with a warm smile. "I wanted to talk to you about your safety club and the presentation you gave last week." Mia's nerves began to settle. "Okay, what about it?" Mrs. Williams leaned forward, clearly excited. "Your presentation had a huge impact on the students. They've been talking about it everywhere. I received many positive comments from parents and teachers. They want to do more about safety awareness in our school." Mia's eyes widened. "Really? That's amazing." "Yes, I'd like to propose that we organize a school-wide safety day. We can have workshops, activities, and even invite community leaders to join us. Your safety club can help plan the event," Mrs. Williams suggested. Mia couldn't believe what she was hearing. This was more than she had ever imagined. "We'd love to help," she replied eagerly. The meeting continued, and they discussed ideas for the event. They envisioned having guest speakers from the local police department, safety demonstrations, and interactive activities where kids could learn how to stay safe in various situations. When they returned home, Mia could hardly contain her excitement. "Mom, we're planning a safety day at school. It's going to be so big." "That sounds wonderful, Mia. I'm so proud of you," her mother said, smiling. The next day, Mia and her friends gathered to brainstorm ideas for the safety day. "We should make posters to advertise the event," suggested Lily. "And we can create games to make learning fun. Let's invite the local fire department too. They can teach us about fire safety," added Jake, another club member. As they planned, the energy in the room was infectious. Each idea sparked new ones, and soon they had a list of activities that included role-playing scenarios, safety trivia, and even a safety pledge for everyone to sign. As the days passed, the excitement grew. Flyers were distributed throughout the school, and students began talking about the safety day. Mia felt like they were creating something special, a chance for everyone to learn how to protect themselves and each other. Finally, the day of the event arrived. Mia and her friends arrived early, setting up tables and decorations in the school gym. Colorful posters lined the walls, and the atmosphere buzzed with energy. Mia could hardly believe how far they had come since that first meeting. As students and parents arrived, Mia felt a swell of pride. She saw familiar faces and new ones, all eager to participate. "Welcome to Safety Day," she announced, her voice ringing with enthusiasm. "We had a lot of fun activities planned for everyone." The day kicked off with a brief introduction by Mrs. Williams, who praised Mia and her friends for their hard work. "This event is a reflection of our community coming together to support our children," she said. After the introduction, the various activities began. In one corner, the police officers demonstrated how to handle emergencies, teaching kids how to dial 911. In another area, firefighters showed children how to use a fire extinguisher in a mock situation. Mia's favorite part was the role-playing station, where students could practice their safety skills with the help of older students and teachers. Mia watched as her classmates participated eagerly, laughing and learning. She felt a deep sense of fulfillment. This was what she had hoped for, a community united in safety and support. As the day went on, Mia noticed something special happening. The older kids who had once intimidated her were now helping younger students with the activities. She saw them smile and encourage the little ones, and it warmed her heart. By the end of the day, everyone gathered for a closing ceremony. Mia stood on stage, looking out at the crowd. "Thank you all for coming to Safety Day. Together, we can make our school a safer place," she said, her voice steady and confident. As the applause filled the gym, Mia felt an overwhelming sense of accomplishment. They had created something meaningful together. After the event, several parents approached Mia, expressing their gratitude. "Thank you for leading this initiative, Mia. It's inspired my children," one mother said. Mia smiled, feeling proud of her efforts. The day had turned out even better than she had imagined. She realized that it was not just about teaching safety. It was about building a community that cared for one another. That night, as Mia lay in bed, she reflected on how much she had grown since that frightening encounter in the park. She had learned that fear could be faced and that standing up for others was a powerful way to make a difference. Mia drifted off to sleep with a smile, knowing that she had played a part in creating a safer community. She was excited for what the future held, knowing that with courage and teamwork, they could tackle any challenge that came their way. A new challenge. After the success of Safety Day, Mia felt like a hero. Her friends, family, and even her teachers praised her for her hard work and dedication. It was a time of celebration, and Mia relished the recognition. But little did she know that a new challenge was lurking just around the corner. A few weeks later, while Mia was at school, whispers began to spread. A group of older kids had been spotted hanging around the playground, making some students feel uncomfortable. Some of Mia's classmates told her about a time they had seen the group being mean to younger kids. The tension in the air was palpable, and Maya felt a familiar flutter of anxiety. "Why are they acting like this?" Lily asked Mia one day during lunch. "It's not fair to the younger kids. They should be able to play without worrying." "I don't know," Maya replied, looking around the cafeteria. She could see some of her friends glancing uneasily towards the older kids' table. "We should do something. We can't let them keep bullying others." Jake, who had been listening, nodded. "We should have another meeting for the safety club. We can come up with a plan." That evening, Mia and her friends gathered at her house. The atmosphere was different this time. There was a weight in the air. They sat in a circle, each one looking determined yet nervous. "We need to stand up to those kids," Maya said, trying to keep her voice steady. "But how do we do it without getting in trouble or making things worse?" "I think we should talk to a teacher first," suggested Jake. "If we tell them what's going on, they can help." "I agree," Lily added. "But what if the kids find out we told? They might get even meaner." Mia took a deep breath. She knew the risks, but they had to take action. "Let's write down everything we know and bring it to Mrs. Williams. We can ask her to keep it private." The next day at school, Maya felt a mixture of fear and determination. She and her friends approached Mrs. Williams after class. "Can we talk to you about something important?" Maya asked, her heart racing. "Of course, Mia. What's on your mind?" Mrs. Williams said, her smile reassuring. Mia took a deep breath and shared the details about the older kids and how they had been bullying others. "We're worried about our classmates and want to help," she said. Mrs. Williams listened carefully, her expression serious. "Thank you for coming to me with this. It's important to address bullying. I'll have a talk with the staff, and we can come up with a plan to keep everyone safe." Relieved, Mia and her friends thanked Mrs. Williams and left her office. As they walked down the hallway, Maya felt hopeful. "I think we did the right thing," she said. A few days later, an announcement was made over the school intercom. "Attention students, we will be having a special assembly on bullying and respect. It is important for us all to feel safe and valued here." Mia's heart sank a little. While she was glad the issue was being addressed, she also felt nervous. What would happen when the older kids heard about the assembly? Would they retaliate? As the assembly approached, Mia's anxiety grew. But she reminded herself of the progress they had made with Safety Day. They had learned to face challenges together, and she needed to be brave. On the day of the assembly, the gym was packed with students. Mia and her friends sat together, whispering about what might happen. The principal spoke about the importance of kindness, respect, and standing up against bullying. "We want our school to be a safe place for everyone," Mrs. Williams said. "If you see something, say something. Together, we can create a positive environment." Mia listened closely, Feeling encouraged, she glanced around the room and saw many nodding heads. It was clear that the message resonated with her peers. As the assembly continued, a group of older kids started whispering to one another, their eyes darting towards Mia and her friends. They looked angry. Mia's stomach twisted. When the assembly ended, Mia and her friends left the gym, feeling a mix of relief and fear. "What if they confront us?" Jake asked, his voice low. "I think we should stick together," Maya said firmly. "If they come at us, we can stay strong." Just as they reached the playground, the group of older kids approached. Mia's heart raced. "Hey, look who it is," one of them sneered. "The little safety club heroes." Mia felt her palms sweat. She took a deep breath and replied, "We just want everyone to feel safe." "Safe? Please. You think you can stop us?" Another one of the older kids said, stepping closer. Maya stood tall, feeling the surge of courage. No one should be bullied. That's not okay. Just then, a teacher walked by, and the older kids quickly backed off. "Hey, what's going on here?" the teacher asked, eyeing the group. "Nothing," the leader of the older kids replied, shoving his hands in his pockets. Maya felt relieved as the teacher moved on, but she knew this wasn't over. They had stood up for what they believed in, but there was still a long road ahead. That night, as Mia lay in bed, she thought about the confrontation. It was scary, but she felt proud of her bravery. She had faced her fears and taken a stand for her classmates. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but Mia was ready to face them. Together with her friends, they could keep their community safe and strong. They had learned that standing up for others was not just a moment, but a commitment to making a difference. A community united. The next day at school, Maya felt a mixture of nerves and determination. The older kids had not backed down, and the atmosphere was tense. However, she and her friends were ready to continue their mission. They had talked to their teacher, and now it was time to spread the message of kindness and unity throughout the school. During lunch, Mia and her friends gathered at their usual table, their faces filled with purpose. "We should do something big to show everyone that we're united against bullying," Maya suggested. "What do you have in mind?" Leslie asked, curiosity sparkling in her eyes. Maya thought for a moment. "What if we organize a kindness week? Each day, we can have activities that promote friendship and respect. We could even make posters to hang around the school." Jake clapped his hands together excitedly. "I love that idea. We can get more people involved. Maybe we can even have a talent show at the end of the week to showcase everyone's skills." The enthusiasm at the table was contagious. They quickly started brainstorming ideas for activities. They decided to have a kindness challenge where students could do something nice for others every day, like writing compliments or helping someone with their homework. Mia felt a spark of hope ignite within her. "Let's talk to Mrs. Williams and see if she can help us get the word out." After lunch, they hurried to Mrs. Williams' office. When they explained their idea, she beamed with pride. "This is a wonderful initiative, Mia. I'm so glad to see you taking the lead on this. I will help you spread the word and arrange everything you need." The next week, excitement buzzed through the school as Mia and her friends prepared for Kindness Week. They hung colorful posters in the hallways, announcing activities for each day. They encouraged everyone to participate, spreading smiles wherever they went. On the first day of Kindness Week, the students wore bright colors to symbolize their unity against bullying. Mia wore a yellow shirt, feeling a sense of camaraderie with her classmates. As they walked through the hallways, students greeted each other with smiles and high fives. During recess, Mia and her friends organized a game of tag, encouraging everyone to join in. Laughter filled the air, and the playground felt alive with joy. Mia watched as some of the older kids, who had been bullies before, started to join in the fun. On the second day, they hosted a compliment day. Everyone wrote down compliments and shared them with their classmates. Mia could see how happy people felt when they received kind words. It created a warm atmosphere that encouraged friendship. As Kindness Week progressed, Maya noticed a change in the school. More students were interacting, laughing, and supporting one another. Even some of the older kids began to soften. They participated in activities, and slowly, the tension that had once filled the school began to fade. On the final day of Kindness Week, they held a talent show. Students showcased their skills, dancing, singing, and even magic tricks. Mia was nervous about performing, but her friends encouraged her. She decided to sing a song about friendship and unity. As she stood on the stage, her heart raced, but she took a deep breath and looked out at her classmates. Their smiling faces filled her with confidence. She started singing, and her voice echoed through the gym. When she finished, the applause was deafening. Maya felt proud and connected to everyone in that room. It was more than just a talent show. It was a celebration of kindness and resilience. After the show, Mia's friends gathered around her. "You were amazing, Mia. You really inspired everyone," Jake said, his eyes sparkling with excitement. "We did this together," Maya replied, smiling at her friends. "It's about all of us standing up for each other." Just then, Mrs. Williams approached them. "I am so proud of you all for leading Kindness Week. You have truly made a difference in our school. It's heartwarming to see everyone coming together." Mia felt a swell of pride in her chest. They had turned a challenging situation into something beautiful, proving that even the smallest actions could create a ripple effect of positivity. As they walked outside after the assembly, Mia spotted a few of the older kids standing together. They looked different, more open. Mia felt a little nervous but decided to approach them. "Hey, I just wanted to say thank you for joining in this week," she said, her voice steady. "It's great to see everyone participating." One of the older boys smiled, a genuine expression on his face. "Yeah, it was fun. We didn't mean to be mean before. We were just bored. This week was a lot better." Mia smiled back, feeling a sense of relief. "I'm glad you liked it. Maybe we can do more fun things together in the future." As she walked away, Maya felt a weight lift from her shoulders. They had shown that kindness could break down barriers. The school was a better place, and the community had come together. Mia knew that while challenges would always exist, they had learned the importance of standing up for one another. Kindness was not just a week-long event, it was a way of life. That evening, as Mia sat down for dinner with her family, she felt grateful. "Today was amazing," she said, sharing stories about the talent show and the older kids. Her parents smiled, proud of the person Mia was becoming. "You are a leader, Mia," her mom said. "You have the power to inspire others." Mia beamed, feeling a deep sense of purpose. She realized that no matter what challenges lay ahead, she and her friends would continue to spread kindness and support their community. Together, they would create a brighter future.